Good morning. Hopefully we'll have a few more people joining in a few minutes. Hmm. Hello. I'm gonna give it a minute or so, see if anybody else joins us before getting started. Oh, there's somebody. Zoom tap your iPad. Hi, Mary. Nice to meet you. For those of you who don't have your chat open, get the chat open. We will be communicating there for the duration of class. If you want, you can share your name, say hello, and if you have any questions or comments or just want to share throughout class, please share there. I'll be periodically checking, but if you asked something and I didn't respond, please forgive me. You can just ask again or prod me, and I'll hopefully get to it. Welcome, everybody. It's morning for me. I don't know if it's morning for you, might be afternoon or evening, even, I suppose. Happy to have you here today. My name is Sara Vander, and I'm teaching today's class on healing body image and self-love for the Banyan Tree Women's Collective Spring Challenge. You may be here just for this class. You may be here for the whole challenge. Regardless, welcome. But as I am part of Banyan Tree, I want to tell you a little bit about it. It's a 501c3 not-for-profit organization running out of the San Francisco Bay Area Peninsula. We seek basically to provide health and wellness access to our community at large, regardless of financial status or zip code. And we believe that is a human right. I'm so happy to be a part of this organization and of this community. This is my second challenge I've done. And it's always just such a loving, warm, and wonderful space. And the classes that are offered are so cool. This challenge had like sound healing and bar and meal prep and like oil massage, just really cool stuff. So if you've never done a full challenge, I encourage you to look into that in the future. Today, I do want to ask you all to complete a quick poll. I'm going to run it in just a moment. This is basically, all of the classes we offer are free. So by completing the survey, it's your way of basically repaying us for the classes. Because your answers to the survey help us secure future funding so that we can continue offering these services. It should take less than 30 seconds. It's really short, and it would mean so much to us if you completed it. So I'm going to get that started right now. Here we go. Oh, it's anonymous, by the way, totally anonymous. I'm going to give you guys like 30 more seconds to finish. Okay. I'm going to close out this poll. Thank you to everybody who answered. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, wonderful. Now we can get started. So as I said, my name is Sara Vander. I am a holistic health coach. I have a credential in integrative nutrition, and I particularly specialize in intuitive eating. And so many of my clients are people who have been dieting either their whole lives since childhood or just kind of on and off diets forever as an adult, or some of them have been engaging in disordered eating habits as a result of that dieting, or just being kind of too extreme with everything and having, the proclivity towards disordered eating. And then some of my clients actually have full-blown eating disorders. And a huge component of the work that I do with all of them is addressing the relationship they have with their body. Because we make food, movement, wellness choices even, they almost always come from this relationship we have with ourselves. a lot of the times that can be positive. It's like, well, I love my body. My body is a temple. My body carries me. My body is my home. So I wanted to the best of my ability, go to the doctor, nourish my body, move my body, keep my heart healthy, all those beautiful things. But, there's also a negative side where it's more like, we look in the mirror, we're picking ourselves apart, we're thinking we hate our bodies, we don't want to be in pictures, we constantly feel like we need to lose weight or change our bodies, and we're making these health choices from that place where it's about altering our bodies, not from a place of love and care, but from a place of I'm unhappy with you, I don't love you, I feel uncomfortable in you. And by the way, all those feelings are really valid. We live in a society that prioritizes some bodies way over others. And that has many categories. That has to do with your race, that has to do with your income, that has to do with your body size, that has to do with how healthy you are to begin with. And so it's really natural to feel like, oh, something's wrong with my body if you don't meet the top marks in every single one of those categories. We are judged for it, and we are often oppressed for these things. So, we then internalize it, and we can be really cruel to ourselves, really cruel. And the fact of the matter is, the most important relationship in your life is the one that you have with yourself, because you are with yourself 24/7. Every single second of every single minute of every single day of your life, you're with you. And so ideally, you're good company to yourself, right? Ideally, you show yourself the most love you possibly can. And, from that place, being able to show the world more love. So I'm super, super passionate about body image, which is kind of like, we condense all of this down. What we end up with is body image. Um, and I think that's something that people have heard the term, people know about it, but they don't necessarily know that it's something that can be changed without altering anything else about yourself, without altering food choices, movement choices, weight, size, anything like that. You can still improve your body image. And that's what I'm here to help you do today. This is a class I teach relatively often in my work. It is kind of more lecture style. I'm going to be talking a lot. I sometimes talk really quickly. If you're like, Sara, I can't keep up, again, please use the chat and tell me to slow down or tell me to repeat myself. I will be happy to. There's a lot of information here. If, only 70% sticks, that's totally fine. You'll still get a lot out of this. It's, take notes if you can. Write down as many tools as you can. No matter what, I'm hoping you'll walk away from this with, at least some kind of toolkit to improve your relationship with your body. Okay. So the outline for the class is I'm going to give you an overview of body image, and I'm going to give you tools for healing body image. I'm going to answer some questions that I frequently get about body image if there's time. And then if there's extra time, which I don't know if there will be, I hope there will be, I can answer some of your questions that you post in the chat. After, I've told you everything. If you have questions throughout, again, please ask. I will be answering those too. So, as I said, having bad body image is super normalized in our culture. It's almost expected. We meet up with friends or you're chatting with someone, and it's normal to talk about hating our bodies together. And it's something that we teach one another how to do. Either we're teaching our children or we're kind of constantly co-teaching each other with our fixation on our bodies. So, pretty much everyone I know has some kind of struggle with body image. That can be, again, it often presents as wanting to lose weight, but it's not necessarily about that. It can be about the way that different disabilities affect our body image. It can be about gender dysphoria, which is deeply intertwined with having negative body image. It can be about skin quality, fixating on clothing specifically. I call it getting stuck in the mirror when you're like looking in the mirror and you're like unconsciously zooming in on one part of yourself and you're just like staring at it and you can't zoom out and see the whole picture of who you are. It happens when we do the same thing with photos. Someone, when before we had phones and you had just like a physical picture, you couldn't like zoom in on the part of your body that you hate the most, but now we can do that. And I think a lot of people do that. You see a picture of yourself and you immediately like, let me check how my thighs look in this or what have you. You can be pinching your body, covering your body up, or wearing baggy clothes, not as an aesthetic choice, but because you feel like you need to cover your body. All these behaviors are indicative of bad body image. And so many of us automatically do these things. I don't know if any of you have caught yourself walking by a storefront and you look to check yourself in the reflection, or anytime you pass a reflective surface, if you look to check your body. That's like it's called body checking, which is a behavior that, again, many of us do, but it can become a negative, unhealthy behavior if it becomes obsessive in its own way. And really, what's upsetting to me about bad body image is that it separates us from the lived experience of being inside of our bodies. You know, mirrors, photographs, video, like there was a time when none of that existed. And maybe we could look in a lake and see our murky reflection, but we didn't really know what we looked like. And I imagine it didn't matter as much. Can't speak to things back then. I don't know for sure. But I do know that it's a lot easier to have a subjective experience of yourself where you're looking out. I see my eyes and I'm looking out at the world and I can sort of see my nose and that's about it. Versus when we see ourselves as objects from the outside in, it's this kind of psychologically disturbing, existentially disturbing experience. And so we begin to pick ourselves apart as though we're an other and not as though we are ourselves. And so that's why this work is very spiritually healing in addition to, psychologically and emotionally. So often we can feel like our body is a prison or a jail, that it's like it's holding us back, it's burdensome. But, before you had your first friend, before you could speak, before you could even like think necessarily, you had your body. Your body's been with you since literally the beginning of your existence, however you define the beginning of that for yourself, right? You and your body, ride or dies since day one, right? You're the same thing. You can't exist without your body. And so when we attack our bodies, we are attacking ourselves. And so everything you've ever experienced is due to your body. And that deserves just like miraculous gratitude. And yet, right? So, having said all that, what is body image? There are a few definitions that I will give you today. The first is from the Oxford English Dictionary, pretty straightforward. Defines body image as the subjective picture or mental image of one's body, which encompasses emotions, perceptions, and sensations about and within your body. NEDA, which I don't know if you're all familiar with that, it's an eating disorder organization. I'm very reticent to share anything from NEDA because it's actually a very corrupt organization and I do not support them in my work as an eating disorder recovery coach. That said, I find their definition helpful, so I'm going to share it here. Highly recommend MEDA, MEDA, or HAZE by ASDA, ASDAH, for eating disorder advocacy work. But MEDA's definition is that body image encompasses A, what you believe about your own appearance, including your memories, assumptions, and generalizations. B, how you feel about your body, including your height, shape, and weight. And C, how you sense and control your body as you move, how you physically experience or feel in your body. And then thirdly, my own personal definition that I've developed in my work. Body image is the perspective that you have on your body that influences and is influenced by the relationship you have with your body. You ever had that experience where feeling really good about yourself, you wake up and you're like having a good hair day, and you're just like feeling good, and then maybe you step on the scale and the number is different than what you expected, and suddenly you look in the mirror again and you're like, I thought I was looking good today, I look terrible. Like it just, or you're feeling good about yourself, and then you see a photograph somebody took of you, and maybe you're like mid-speech, like, and or whatever, it's not your best angle or something, or you're just like, you're like, oh God, that's what I really look like. And it can just crash the sense of self that you previously had. This is demonstrative not of the fact that your body can change from moment to moment, but that your experience of your body can change from moment to moment. And this means that it's mutable. And while this is frequently experienced as a negative thing, that's me. Yeah, I really relate. All these things that I have personally experienced as well, in addition to every single client I work with. The fact that it can change that quickly means that it can change in general, which I want us to look at together positively. It's possible through cognitive behavioral work, through general, like, greater awareness and reflective work, and through, committing yourself to being kinder to yourself, it is absolutely possible to have a generally better experience of your body. I promise, because I've seen it in dozens and dozens of people, not only in the larger community that I'm a part of and in myself, but in with all the people that I work with. I did a poll on Instagram recently, like, how do you generally talk to yourself about your body? And it was like generally harsh, generally judgmental, generally kind, and then mixed. And every single response that was generally kind came from past clients, and it made me very, very proud. Um, that's like the work. I mean, that makes me want to cry. Like that to me, I want to help people have better nutrition and better health, and all that stuff happens. But when they're also able to be nicer to themselves, it makes me feel really good. Okay, so hearing all of that, wait a second. Yes, okay. Hearing all of that I've said so far, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your own body image. How is it today? How has it been generally within the last year? How has it been since COVID? For a lot of us, that was a big body image disruptor. How has it fluctuated over the course of your whole life? And when has it been the worst and the best? I wish I could give you half an hour to ponder these things, but I want you to generally, again, write them down, maybe spend some time meditating on it later, and then just think about it as class progresses. If you want to, you can share in the chat. By no means do you have to. This stuff can be really vulnerable to share, which I totally understand. The next reflective question I want to ask is, where did you develop your body image? Where did this come from? Where did that mean, judgmental, nitpicky, hard to please voice come from? Because I guarantee you weren't born with it. None of us are born hating our bodies. Babies love their bodies. They're rolling around, they're like sucking on their toes, they're like touching everything, and they're not thinking, oh, I'm so ugly. Yeah, frequently it's our families. Yes. Frequently it's our mothers. For a lot of women, it's their mothers, but also fathers, absolutely, or grandparents, siblings. Then there's also, media, the movies and magazines we consumed, or even school. A lot of people have really bad experiences being weighed at school or having presidential fitness tests or just really harsh, PE teachers, classmates, doctors, coaches. Like if you did a sport like ballet or gymnastics or wrestling can be really damaging to body image. All these things impact, we carry them forward. I can distinctly remember specific things that were said to me or that I read. I read an article as a teen about having thigh gap, how it's like healthy to have an inch and a half between your thighs. And girlfriends, I've never had thigh gap. My legs aren't built that way. And it crushed me as a kid. I was like, I'm unhealthy. My thighs touch. When it's like, well, some people's bone structure and some people's body size and some people's muscularity means that they're never gonna have thigh gap, and that's totally fine. Anyways, yeah. So thinking about that stuff can really you're like, whoa, like I've been not hypnotized, brainwashed. We've been brainwashed into hating ourselves. Often by multi-billion-dollar industries such as the diet culture industry, which is why I'm so passionate about fighting against it. Health and diet culture, those are not the same things. And so frequently diet culture is like, I'm here for your health. And really it's like, I'm here to make money off of you hating yourselves. Shh. When you're tearing your body apart, the first step to healing is to think about whose voice you're hearing and to recognize that it's not yours. It may have turned into yours over time, but it's not originally yours. The next big reflective question I want you to ask is to think about what will change in your life if your body image improves. Like really imagine it, like really set the stage for yourself. Work, relationships, free time, how you exercise and how you eat, what you wear, all of these things will change if your body image improves. Especially like the brain space compartment, like when you're not spending 90% of the day intermittently thinking about how much you hate your body, you could do so many other things. It's awesome. It's like, oh, my body's not a barrier to anything anymore. well, then you have limitless options. I want to do a quick note on body dysmorphia. It's related to bad body image, but it is a separate thing. I'm not really talking about it today, but I did want to mention it. Body dysmorphia is a mental health disorder. It can co-occur and often does with eating disorders or with gender dysphoria and or there's a lot of overlap between these things. It is a chronic, disabling psychiatric disorder characterized by excessive and persistent preoccupation with perceived flaws or deficits in appearance, um, which often are unnoticed by others. They're not often quote unquote real, and they're associated with negative behaviors such as consistent obsessive body checking or avoiding mirrors, feeling body contortions, feeling like suddenly parts of your body are ballooning up or shrinking down, avoiding social interactions, skin picking, and needing others to confirm what you really look like. So I am not a therapist, can't officially diagnose anybody, but if that resonates with you, I encourage you to look into it, because it is a severely debilitating thing, and it's really hard to live with. Again, I have many clients who have body dysmorphia, um, and so it's not just about healing body image in that case; it's deeper work. There was a really cool study done in 2003, so it's a little aged, but the results are still extremely pertinent about self esteem and self compassion with body image. And they found that while self esteem is important, self compassion is the secret sauce. Self esteem is just like a global evaluation of one's self worth. And self compassion is self kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness, which we can also call self love. Just part of why it's in the title of the class today. They found that self compassion extends an offering of non judgmental understanding to one's own pain, inadequacies, and failures. This is connected to body appreciation, which offers an alternate way to value yourself. Studies show that more self compassion is directly correlated with less body preoccupation. The opposite of this is appearance contingent self worth, which is pretty much what it sounds like. It evaluates and surveils the body at all times, and it frequently comes from a place of shame, and it places increased importance on appearance over all other factors. Studies show that appearance contingent self worth is the biggest indicator of negative body image. So, therefore, the greatest thing we can do to improve our body image is to remove our self worth from our appearance and to develop self worth in much sturdier places. We could think about self kindness versus self judgment, common humanity versus isolation, mindfulness versus preoccupation. And I also include fat positivity versus anti fat bias. This is also a huge part of the work I do, which is fat positivity is just recognizing that all bodies deserve equal rights. It gets really confusing for people online, but that's really all that it is. It's that fat people deserve to live free of judgment and shame, and they deserve access to medical care and all the things that everybody else in society can have. Because we can't really control our body sizes at the end of the day. A little bit, but really not much. Much of it is genetically and environmentally predisposed. And so, when we are out here judging, shaming, and preventing people from getting access to things because of their body size, that's not great. And it doesn't help us with our relationship to our bodies either. So, quite simply, thesis of the class today: no problem can be solved by you hating your body. Not a single one on earth. Can I read that again? The definition of self compassion. Yes. It is self kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Roped into that. It extends to offering a non judgmental understanding to one's own pain, inadequacies, and failures. You could think about like your ideal inner parent, inner mother, whatever you want to think of that figure as. I often think of Miss Honey from Matilda, which was my favorite books when I was a kid. And I'm like, wow, what like she's like this like idealized mother figure. Um, how would that person speak to you? Or, how would you as that figure speak to somebody else, whether or not you have children of your own or just like a friend? If your friend was feeling down about their body, would you ever be like, you're right, you're hideously ugly? You would be like, No, you'd be like, "You're gorgeous. I love you so much. You are the funniest person I know. You are so kind. I think about you constantly. I'm so happy to have you in my life." Right? And that's the way, through self compassion, we should be speaking to ourselves as well. So, I think we're doing good on time. That's like a way to use this view of other or outside your body in a positive way. Exactly. Exactly. So well said, Jesse. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. It's like, okay, so we can't really help that we view ourselves from the outside because this is the world we live in. So let's at least try to do that nicely. Yeah. You're a little tiny baby on the inside. We all are, right? And that little tiny baby deserves so much love. And yes, we grow up and we have, all of ourselves inside of us, but ultimately, at our cores, we still all deserve that. So, getting into the next section, I'm gonna have some water. These are some of the tools to improve your body image day to day. I'm gonna be like relatively rapid going through these. If you want further explanations on any of them, again, please share in the chat. I'll take a moment to be more in depth about it. Um, First things first, when we're thinking about improving our body image, step one, as I said already, but repeating it, work to become more aware of that inner voice, how you speak to yourself. And as much as you can, try to separate out that voice, that it's not a reflection of how you actually feel about yourself, right? It's it might really feel like you. You might have been hearing it since you were like 5. Um, which is devastating, but it's true for so many of us. So it might sound you're like, it's me. But really just think about, well, I don't actually really want to be that mean to myself. And so it does not reflect my true intentions towards myself and my body. And in that way, it's not the whole me, it's this one part. Think about again, who is it? Is that your grandma's voice specifically? Is that your mom or your dad? Or maybe you have a really mean brother or sister. And often, again, those people, that's their own mean voice talking to themselves that they were then sharing with you. We pass them along, like almost like genetically, intergenerationally. We share these things. I guarantee, some people have really bad intentions as caregivers, but most people don't, right? I would say most parents don't want their kids to end up hating themselves, but that's the net result because that's all that they know how to teach. Step two, reflect on when does this voice specifically pop up? Start to pay attention to the patterns. With everything psychologically, there are patterns to our thoughts and behaviors, and certain events elicit those patterns more so than others. So think about which conditions in my life lead to greater self cruelty. Maybe it's events where you know you're going to be seen. I'm looking at myself in Zoom right now. For me, this isn't a particular trigger, but for some people it is. When they're leading meetings at work and they know that they're going to be like, hello, on camera or whatever, or in the front of a room with everyone looking at them, suddenly 3 days before, so they find themselves feeling really crappy about their bodies. That's a really direct example. It might be something that like super random. Um, but if you pay attention, you start tracking these things, you can notice it, and then you can just be a bit more self aware when it happens. So that's kind of like the general where to start. And then when we get into the little tools, the little things we can do. This one is one of my favorite tools, and it might be like, what? Cover your mirrors. If you're having a really hard time and you're being really mean to yourself, every single time you look in the mirror, cover those bad boys up. Maybe leave like a little bit of your bathroom mirror open so you can like see when you're brushing your teeth. But you don't have to look at yourself. Again, if you're like, I need to look somewhat presentable for work, quickly check the hair, check there's nothing in there, okay. But especially full length mirrors, you can throw a towel over them. You just don't have to do that. You don't have to be confronted constantly with your reflection. If you were my client, I would work with you on that so that you would be able to uncover it eventually. But it's kind of like, hey, let's throw a band aid on there in the meantime. Let's get that blood, like, let's stop that bleeding first. No need to suffer extra. Similarly, one of my favorite things, don't look at photos right away. Wait for some time to pass. I don't know if you've ever had this experience where a photo is taken and you're like, ugh. Could not be more hideous than that. Hate that picture of myself. Who took this? Why'd you do it? And then like 3 years pass, or 5 years pass, or 10 years pass, and you look back at it and you're like, why did I ever think that I was ugly? I look beautiful in that picture. Like, what? Why was I so mean to myself? I'm ugly now. That's often the second thought is, I was so beautiful then. I'm ugly now. But then you take a picture now, and then 5 years from now, you look back and you're like, I was so beautiful then. Isn't that fascinating? So you can kind of game the system by using this as a hack. Do you need to wait years to look at photos of yourself? No. I waited 3 months to look at my wedding photos. I waited 3 months. And I thought I looked great in them. And I guarantee that if I had looked at them right away, I would have been nitpicking them. Sometimes I go on vacation. I have my husband take photos. He keeps them on his phone. And then we wait again a couple months. Yeah, I'd like to look at those photos. Thank you, love. Versus if I look at them right away, I'm a person who has a history of an eating disorder. I have to be really careful those kind of behaviors with myself. If I'm snatching the phone, immediately after he takes it, I'm going to make him take 45 more, first of all. And I'm going to find something wrong with all of them. And that's just like getting fixated again. I'm like, I'm on vacation right now. I don't need to be thinking about like, is the sun making my thighs look weird? What a waste. Do bigger picture work, which literally means getting in touch with the bigger picture, stepping outside, immersing yourself in something that you love. And maybe that's exercise or a hobby or talking to a friend or dancing or cooking, right? Like just being like, you know what? My life and my body are so much larger than just my appearance. Center yourself inside your body. You can do this real quick and real easy with 4 deep breaths. That often is like one of the best remedies for all things. It's like not an apple a day keeps the doctor. It's like 4 deep breaths keeps the doctor away. Literally can be like, okay, like I am alive. Like everything ultimately is okay. Take care of your body with maybe a little massage or a stretch or a bath or some acupuncture or some nice like skincare, right? Like literally pampering our bodies can be so healing to body image. Easy ones to do for some might not be actually easy advice, but sleeping, resting, that's another way of massively taking care of yourself. And bad body image might lead you to be like, no, I have to run at 6 a.m. every day. But like, what if 2, 3 of those days you slept in and you got more rest, right? That actually might improve the way you feel about your body because everything is easier when we are well rested. Another thing, similarly, is making sure you're eating and staying hydrated. When we don't eat enough, we don't feel good. It significantly negatively impacts our mental state. It's, hanger, grouchiness, low blood sugar. It is impossible to be your best self if you're not eating enough. Obviously, you want to stay hydrated too. So, again, counterintuitively, a lot of the times we think bad body image can be solved by restricting food, eating less. In actuality, I often prescribe my clients to eat a bit more. Just to refocus on that, on nourishing your body. Like, hey, ultimately, no matter what my body looks like, I deserve food. I deserve to feel comfortably full, to have energy, to be nourished in the same way that, again, you'd want a little baby to get enough food. And, nothing has changed between baby self and now. 2 meditations that I really find helpful for body image are an external and an internal body scan. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this. I feel like if you're part of Banyan Tree, maybe you probably are. But a body scan meditation is where you kind of, do your deep breath work, get into the meditation however you'd like. And then you start either from the top or the very bottom of your body, like meaning like literally the very top of your skull, like your scalp, or the soles of your feet. And you very slowly kind of move your awareness and try to feel every single part of your body as you scan your awareness down. So the external one is kind of like, oh, I feel, my skull, my eye sockets, my jaw, my tongue. I feel, my neck and my shoulders and my bones maybe. And the internal one is even trickier, but it's like, can I feel no, it's like impossible to feel like kidneys and livers, right? But like, can I feel the inside of my body? Can I feel, can I envision my lungs and my heart and my brain and the inside of my throat and all the tendons and ligaments and blood vessels, and try to really connect and feel your body. I guarantee you're gonna walk away being like, "My body's amazing." Like, what? Like, how does this gorgeous machine slash animal, like, it just runs. Like, yeah, I need to feed it, I need to drink water, and I need to sleep, and there's things I need to do to take care of it, but my body does so much to take care of me. Like, I don't need to tell my kidneys to work. They just do. That's amazing, right? Unless you have, kidney failure, which case, you need a doctor to help you. But regardless, right? Like, our bodies do so much for us constantly. And when you can do these meditations and really tap into that, it's kind of impossible to walk away from that being like, and my body is hideously ugly. Again, that might happen. Maybe you're in a really bad spot, but generally these things are really helpful. A reflective exercise you can do is called the end of life exercise, which might sound really grim. And for some people, it is too grim to do, and that's totally fine. But really think about, like, have you ever had a family member or heard of a person in your community kind of looking back and being like, I should have worn more bikinis and eaten more pasta and like danced naked and I should have blah blah blah, right? Like, when you are dying and you look back on your life, you're going to regret spending a single day hating your body. So I want you to be able to take advantage of that now while you're alive. We don't want to have to wait until the end to feel grateful and appreciative. We want to have that now. We all deserve that, regardless of what bodies we have. We all deserve to be able to feel joyfully alive in our bodies while we are inside them. You can do self-compassion post-its, which are fun. Literally what they sound like. You write nice things about yourself on post-its and you put them on the mirrors. So that if you're in the mirror and you're getting stuck and you're being a jerk, you can be like looking at the post-it and be like, everyone says you're a really good friend. Yeah, I'm a good friend. Yeah, that's what's important. Walk away from the mirror. Gratitude lists, journaling about like what you're grateful for your body. Like, that's it's simple. It's something that gets recommended all the time. It's effective. Like, studies have proven that gratitude is significantly like hugely effective in improving your relationship with yourself. So I miss out there be coaching. You can work with somebody like me. It's a lot easier when you have somebody by your side, walking next to you, holding your hand, showing you where to go. Somebody to talk to, somebody to bounce ideas off of, somebody to confide in. I feel very protective of my clients, and it's a great honor to be able to do that work. For those of you who struggle specifically with weight, and fears about fatness, or struggling just with your body size in any way, I really recommend following fat creators, especially on social media. If you like social media, um, it's really helpful to see. And this is not just fat creators, just like diverse bodies in general. People in their bodies living life beautifully and joyfully. Because if you're just looking at, I don't know, celebrities, or even where we live, the Bay Area where we live, like a generally pretty small bodied population. And it's not representative of the whole world. And so you can kind of just expand your viewpoint, get a better sense of reality of what's out there of bodies, the reality of body diversity, and it does help you expand your mind. And you can also listen to podcasts like Maintenance Phase, or read books like Yoke by Jessamine Stanley. Is a book about yoga, but it's called The Yoga of Body Acceptance. Jessamine Stanley is amazing. The Underbelly Yoga is her company, and that's one of the best books I've ever read. Highly, highly recommend. Or The Body or not separate. The Body is Not an Apology, by Sonia Renee Taylor, is going to change your life if you haven't read that book. Buy clothes that fit you. This is a big one. Buy clothes that fit you. I know that can be really tough. And for some people, there's a barrier to entry based on size, because size inclusivity, unfortunately, is not the norm. So it's not so easy for some people. Some people, it's like, hey, I would love to buy clothes in my size, but I can't just go to the store and find them. But in general, if your clothes are feeling tight, you're going to feel a lot worse about your body. And so buying a size up, there's no shame. It's a lot of the time arbitrary measurements that change from not just company to company, but item to item within that company. It says nothing about you or your self-worth, and you deserve to wear clothes that are comfortable. Self-soothing behaviors, whatever that might be for you. And this can be a lot of somatics work, including like tapping or rocking. What would you do to soothe your inner baby again? The best friend exercise, which I sort of mentioned already, or the little you, baby you exercise. Again, think about how would you speak to yourself as a child or to the child that you have? How would you speak to your best friend? And really try to speak to yourself that way. Because ultimately, you should absolutely be among your best friends. We have mindful movement with contingencies here. Mindful movement meaning often gentle movement, movement that's really fun, that makes you happy. That is less about, oh, I have some end result in terms of appearance that I'm going for. Um, Again, this can be really non-traditional movement, or it can be like a specific, exercise class. There's If you're really into mantras or self-reminders, maybe you meditate every day, adopting a mantra of I love my body or I respect my body or my body loves me can help again alter that brain chemistry over time. And then if you're into this kind of thing, magic or spiritual rituals, having an altar, that again you dedicate your thought and energy towards loving your body, or you can write everything you hate about your body on a piece of paper and burn it. Um, and then you can write everything you love on another piece of paper and put it on your altar. Those kind of ritualistic activities can be really helpful for some. Okay. I'm very pleased that I'm doing well on time. All right. So, some of the questions I get about body image. Um, Non body size related body image issues, such as acne for some people, or scars, stretch marks, discoloration, etc. They often feel left out of the conversation. The conversation gets very like body size centric. Um, and I definitely sometimes contribute to this. I think we tend to focus on like, oh, for myself, it's this, this, and this, and then we forget that there's so many ways for people to be mean to themselves about their bodies. But really, all of the same work applies. All the exercises I've gone through, it's you cater it to whatever specifically for you is the focus point of that negativity. And then again, it's important to recognize that with skin issues, again, there's like huge aspects of patriarchy and white supremacy and all these things that come in as well. Certain bodies are way more scrutinized than others in certain ways. And so having awareness of that can really help you, again, have a better perspective on the bigger picture. How not to worry about body changes in the long term. Here's a fact of life. Our bodies are going to change. That's what they are designed to do. I don't have the same body I had when I was 7. I'm significantly larger now and more wrinkled, and my telomeres are shorter, and I have new aches and pains. Um, and that's what's supposed to happen. We age and we grow, and our bodies change. And we have to accept that. It makes me feel a lot of pity when I hear like celebrities like Kim Kardashian saying they're like, she said once she would like eat poop if it meant she could look younger. And it's like, that's so sad to me. I feel very sorry for that, like somebody who lives with that much scrutiny on their appearance that they like feel like they would do something so disgusting to maintain youth when our bodies, aging is going to happen. And hey, you want to get a facelift or Botox, like do it. I don't care. You have every right to do whatever you want with your body. That's the beauty of body autonomy. So I'm not saying dye your hair, whatever you want, but recognize that you ultimately our bodies are going to change no matter what we do. And so while we can do whatever we want to make alterations to those changes, we also need to accept that the changes are going to happen. So be here now. Be here now. Work on having appreciation for the body you have in this present moment, because that's ultimately all that there is. Work on your anxiety, because if you're preoccupied with these things, it's possible there's underlying anxiety happening. And then obviously continue the self-relationship work. How to support someone you know and love who has bad body image. Great question. I love when I get this question, especially if you have young ones. Again, like somebody who's vulnerable, like preteen, teenage years. Empathy, listening, You know, you might be inclined to do silver linings and reassurance, and ultimately that's not always helpful. Um, really just be there. For example, you can say, I don't see what you see, but I understand how painful that must be. Is there anything I can do to support you? I think one of the worst things you can say is, you're not fat, you're beautiful, right? That's like, I think a lot of us grew up with that. And it's like, well, those are not oppositional things. And that also is really diminishing that person's experience, right? If they're coming to grips with their body size, which might not be forever, but maybe they're in a period of season of their life where their body's a little bit larger, it's important to be like, yeah, body diversity, right? Like some bodies are bigger than others. And is somebody being mean to you about this at school? Because let's go deal with that, right? Rather than being like, no, 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 you don't look like that, right? So validate the experience and just offer as much love and compassion as you can. How to stop seeing only flaws when you look at yourself. First, I would say maybe step away from the mirror and step away from the photo, right? Give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. Post-its on the mirror. When you notice it happening, pick one thing you love about yourself. So you're saying the mean stuff, say the thing you love, and then walk away. So it's like loud and clear. And it can be appearance based. It can be like you're like, I whatever, like I'm focusing on this part of my body right now. I'm obsessed with how pretty my eyes are. Walk away. Try to follow up mean thoughts with nice thoughts consciously. Okay. Those are the main questions I get, which is wonderful because we do have time. If you all have questions, anything I have said today, anything that has come up for you, please share in the chat because I do have time to answer those questions right now. Oh, I don't know if you can hear my cat is very upset that she's locked away in the bedroom right now. You also, I mean, I don't know about unmuting. You're also supposed to stay muted for class, but if it's easier just to like speak out loud, I think that's okay too. If you, it would be shared in the recording of the class, versus the chat is not shared in class recording. So, but if you'd like to just ask a question verbally, that is also fine with me if it's fine with you. And then obviously, if you have no questions, we can we can conclude. How would you change your view of a specific thing that you don't like or that you think about? Yeah, um, this can be tricky, and it's not always like 100% within 2 months, I'm going to love this part of my body. Again, I think seeing other people with this specific thing, again, like, um, people who have, again, like, maybe you have really bad acne as an example, right? So seeing images of people who have a lot of acne who are like, yeah, here I am, me, my beautiful skin, right? Can help you over time start to see yourself more beautifully in that way as well. When you notice yourself fixating on it, again, just try to stop the fixation from happening. So if you always look at that part of your body in photos, just give yourself time to like not look at them truly. Um, you can do things like try to think about how you're dressing. Like I worry about using the word like flattering, right? Maybe sometimes we can just like dress slightly differently where we feel really confident in what we're wearing. And so we're less fixating on that one thing. If that's not specific, if you want me to explain more, please let me know and I will. What are some helpful self-soothing strategies? Singing is actually a really nice one. Singing or humming. They stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is that big, gorgeous, juicy nerve that goes down our spine and connects to our like resting system and our digesting system. And actually, like choral singing or humming can be very soothing. Repetitive movements like rocking or dancing. Um, Again, tapping is a really helpful one, but generally, like rocking repetitive movements are really soothing. Think about again, like you're rocking a baby to sleep. That stuff actually still feels really nice to us. I love a bath, sauna, steam room situation. Putting yourself in an environment that your body is going to relax in, aromatherapy, anything kind of spa oriented, like essential oils or um, again, like a good facial scrub, anything where you're kind of like interacting with your body physically with a repetitive, soothing motion is highly recommended. How do you break fixation in the moment? Yeah, it can be tough. And again, this is like, if you're coaching with me, we can work on this more in depth. So it's harder to like convey in like a little like sound bite here. But it's like, again, really first thing, recognizing that's what you're doing. Let me try to think of some good examples here. I have anxiety disorders, a few anxiety disorders. And one spiral that I can get into sometimes is that my husband has a really long commute from work. This is going to seem like it's not related to body image, but it is. My husband has a very long commute home from work. And I have this weird, intrusive thought, nightmare fantasy that comes into my head that he's going to get in a car accident. And I fixate on it. It's like all that my brain is saying to me. If he's like 30 minutes late from work when I'm expecting him home, it's like, oh God, he's been in a car accident. And like literally the first thing I do is I'm like, I'm in an anxiety spiral right now. I'm having an anxiety spiral right now. I take deep breaths. Like for a while, I basically meditate. I take deep breaths and I calm my nervous system down again, stimulating that vagus nerve. And I think to myself, it's highly unlikely that he's been in a car accident. He is okay. This is my fear talking. And I'll do something else. I'll like remove myself from the room that I'm in, even can be helpful. I'll usually read or put a TV show on or put on some music. Um, that's an example of that in a specific anxiety moment, but that's a fixation moment that's being broken. So really again, be aware like, okay, I'm obsessed with maybe my chin right now. I'm super fixated on it. It's upsetting me. I want to cry. I'm so upset by it. That's me having a negative fixation spiral right now. It's not in my control necessarily. It's happening to me. What can I do to stop it? I'm going to take some deep breaths, right? I'm going to try to even remove myself from this physical environment. I'm going to remind myself of what matters. I am alive. I am okay. I am here. I am breathing. My body loves me. My body is my home. I love my body. I can't necessarily change my chin. This is the body that I have, and I deserve to live life happy in my body, right? Just kind of ground yourself in like, okay, what is real? What is concrete that I can keep my feet on here? This is like a billionth of what's in my life, right? If I think about the totality of my life, this one fixated body part is one of the smallest pieces. And yet right now it's 100% of my brain. So how do I put it back where it belongs? I hope that's helpful, Jesse. Any other questions while I'm here? If you have questions after the fact, it is thank you for all this. Wonderful. If you have questions after the fact, if you're sitting on this and you're reflecting, feel free to email me, Sara, sunflowerhealth@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat. You can also follow me on Instagram, which is Sara_sunflowerhealth on Instagram. You can DM me, and just a lot of my content, I talk about this a lot. So I want to offer, different strategies or different points of view day to day. Hopefully those will be helpful resources to you. But yeah, again, I'm here for you. If after the fact you're like, what was that thing she said about appearance contingent self-worth? Or I can't remember those strategies. I feel like she mentioned a meditation. Can you, explain that to me again? Or can you have a really specific question? Or maybe you have a family member who's constantly saying horrible things to you and you're like, how do I stop this? I have lots of strategies for asserting boundaries with others in that way as well. So ultimately, you deserve to protect yourself, protect your body image. We do all this work and then somebody comes in with like an anvil and they're like, haha, let me make you feel like terrible about yourself. That sucks. So, there's things we can do in those moments to be like, hey, don't talk to me that way, kindly, respectfully. So yeah. Thank you all so much for being here today. Again, I hope I answered your questions. I hope I gave you something to think about moving forward, so that you can, be a bit kinder to yourself, have more love for your body. When I click out of here, there is going to be an exit survey similar to the one in the beginning. Oh, thank you, Dinky. Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. I'm gonna read that later and cry. Thank you so much. Yeah, so when I exit, there will be a small exit survey. Should take less than 30 seconds. Again, please complete it. It will help us secure grant funding. I love being part of this organization. Would love to continue offering free work resources such as this. You took notes, beautiful. And if you would like to rewatch the class, it will be available on the Banyan Tree Women's Collective YouTube shortly. So
Thank
thank
you.
you all. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
You too.